Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, and welcome to the show. It is Wednesday, I believe, July 29. Good heavens, the summer is disappearing. Ay. So I was thinking, believe it or not, I was thinking yesterday that this COVID-19 has, in some ways, unmasked me, which struck me as ironic, as odd. And I think in many ways it has unmasked a lot of us. I was thinking only in the sense that for all of my life, from the time I was a teenage girl, so I guess that's not all of it, but, well, all, because any girl heading toward being a woman in our culture learns very, very early that her appearance is extraordinarily important, and that she must present herself to the world in as lovely a way as she can. It's why women are always told to smile. I doubt that men have had that experience in their lives. Women, it's a constant. Smile. You look so, resting bitch face, which means you're not smiling. So this idea that you have to present to the world this attractive, and stop and think what attractive means. It means to attract. It's like radioactive, attractive. It means that you have the capacity to attract what? The man. Forgive me, all you LGBTQ folks, talking about the dominant culture here. And so girls learn very early. We tell, and I've caught myself doing it. We tell young girls, yes, and we tell even little teeny weeny toddlers, girls. What's the first thing we say to them? Oh, you're so pretty. I love your dress. I love your shoes. Has nothing whatsoever to do with them, right? It's these externals. So from day one, females in this culture, and not just this culture, most cultures, are raised to do nothing more than to be attractive. And I was realizing, sitting in my backyard yesterday, wearing my daily costume of sweatpants and a raggedy old T-shirt, my hair pulled back in a ponytail, not a drop of makeup on, no polish on my nails, fingers, or toes, just as God made me. And that's when I thought, I'm unmasked. That mask which I learned to apply every day which took me time and created, anxieties. Oh, my hair, it's a bad hair day. I just can't. Oh, my God. Oh, my eyes, my eye, my eyes. Oh, gosh, this lipstick is not right. This thought. Blunt myself now, in as much as I present myself to any place in the flesh, as I am. Take me or leave me. And in this regard, in this pandemic, where we've been isolated, where we feel, understandably, like we're serving, a sentence of home confinement, in a strange way, it has been liberating, I think, for a lot of women. A lot. The thought just a year ago of me going out among, strangers or people without foundation on my face and eyeliner on my eyes and the whole bit would have been unthinkable. I had been trained to only present myself to the world with that mask on. And there have been a few instances where, I'm trying to think, where I have put a little makeup on, just my eyes, because my eyes are still visible. And I felt stupid, but somehow that pressure was still there. It's been 1 or 2 times, and I don't think I'll do it again because it's unnecessary. For one thing, when a woman reaches a certain age, and God knows I'm there and gone, the need to be attractive isn't really there anymore. Older women are not looked at as sexual partners. Older women are, in fact, not looked at all. I have always gone out of my way to compliment older women on being beautiful because I know it doesn't happen much anymore to them. And that's what women learn to live on. The recognition that all of their labors to be attractive bore fruit. So I thought it was so strange to have that thought. I am unmasked. I present myself now as I am, although granted, the mask covers half of my face. But the half it covers is the part that I always thought didn't need as much help, because I always was said to have a beautiful smile. I remember my father telling me many times, "You have a beautiful smile." And often after I applied my makeup mask in the morning and before I went out into the world to present myself as a attractive woman, the last thing I would do, I don't do it anymore because I don't put the makeup on. The last thing I would do, when all the paint was applied in all the right places, when my mask was as good as I could make it, the last thing I would do is smile. back that smile. Oh, yeah. Good to go. So my smile has been taken away from me because of the mask, but the rest of me has been liberated because it has become unmasked. And it was a thought I had yesterday that made me chuckle. I don't know if chuckle's the right word. Oh, no. Unknown caller, you bet. That's no zip code I know. I'm not zip code, area code. Area code. So there was another word I thought of, and I'm going to share this with you, although I probably shouldn't. But I have been, there have been a few days where I haven't had a show because I had a procedure. I'll just be straightforward, I have been struggling for the last few months with debilitating back and leg pain. And so I've been having tests. I had my most recent one yesterday, my second MRI, and we're narrowing it down, definitely. I'll finally see a doctor tomorrow that will tell me what my options might be to be able to get back on my feet and stand upright, pain-free. But I was thinking of how over the last weeks, especially when this has really gotten bad, that the word for me is invalid. What an awful thing you don't want to be, an invalid. And then it occurred to me, I love words. The reason you don't want to be an invalid is being an invalid makes you, in many ways, invalid. An invalid is seen as invalid. Just change the stress onto the second syllable from the first. An invalid is seen by others who are able-bodied as invalid. And I have no idea if those two words that look like the same word, but are in fact, by virtue of their pronunciation, rendered two different words and with two different meanings, if the invalid came out of invalid, or they just simply came from the same source, which would make sense. But I love words. I love them. So those are my two word epiphanies from the last 24 hours: mask and unmasked, invalid and invalid. And I don't know why something like that gives me so much pleasure, but it does. By the way, heads up, I will not have a show on Tuesday of next week. I'm sorry. It's one more procedure that has to be done. But I will be here Monday, and then Wednesday and Thursday. Okay? And then I hope, barring some horrific surgery I don't want, that, we'll be somewhat back to a normal schedule. And all that being said, the reality is I don't I sometimes feel like I can't keep this up anyway. I have nothing to say. I'm, ferreting through the horror of the daily news, and I find that a story, a story that would have stopped me dead in my tracks a year ago doesn't even get a moment's glance. Yeah, turn the page. Turn the page. Then what does get my attention is stuff that just seems like, oh yeah, more of that, more of that, more of that. It's like we're stuck in some, awful nightmare. Seriously. Margaret says, I've tried acupuncture. I have tried acupuncture on a number of occasions, and I'm sure clearly it is helpful for many people in certain conditions. Every time I have tried acupuncture, it has not helped me, and I have, in fact, ended up, not every time, but 2 times, I've ended up on an operating table. Because, at some point, acupuncture can't fix some stuff. At some point, acupuncture ain't the right thing. But it is good for a lot of things. Nothing survives thousands of years as a treatment without having some basis in validity. So I do not discount it. I'm just saying it is not the answer. For instance, it ain't the answer for COVID-19, right? Acupuncture? Nah, ain't happening. Although does anyone have an idea of why the lunatics, and I include our president, refuse to stop this constant drumbeat of pushing that drug, whose name I have trouble pronouncing, hydroxychloroquine, right? They're back at it again. The president and his son tweeting this nonsense out yesterday, I guess, and, getting tossed off of Facebook and Twitter and all the other social media sites. Why would that be that I'll tell you, Trump does nothing that is not tied to his financial interests. So what is it? Are they, if there was a direct financial interest in this thing, it would be apparent, and not too difficult to find, I suspect, but why? Why do they refuse to stop? And so at his briefing yesterday, there he is, continuing to talk about it. And why would he do that if there wasn't something in it for him? And that video he put out there, the video with the doctor who, these people, they believe in, satanic. If you masturbate, your Satan is. Do you think I saw something and I thought, wow, this is the kind of doctor that the president is touting. When asked about the video yesterday, Trump said this. quote, for some reason, the internet wanted to take them down and took them off. I think they are very respected doctors. There was a woman who was spectacular in her statements about it, that she's had tremendous success with it. And they took her voice off. I don't know why they took her off. What the hell is going on? What's the thing with hydroxychloroquine? Now, I think out of the corner of my eye, see that Peter Navarro, the president's whatever, one of his unbelievable stooges, was saying that the government had bought up a whole bunch of this stuff when Trump decided this was the cure-all. And so they've got storehouses full of it or something. Is that possible? They bought a pig in a poke. They got had. And they're trying to get rid of it? Is that it? I mean, I know seemingly all you can gauge from the only conclusion that can be drawn from watching these evil Keystone Cops. It's not funny. It's not the usual slapstick. It is evil. One can only think they're either trying to kill all of us, right, or make off with as much as they can before it's all over. So there was Trump and Trump Jr. putting out this crapola yesterday. And who are they joined by? Of course, Fox News, Breitbart, QAnon, all those wonderful sources. These are, according to the presidents, these are not fake news. These are your reliable news sources, Breitbart, QAnon. And man, all of these guys are sharing this stuff on Facebook, on YouTube. And so by the time Facebook and YouTube and Twitter get a handle on it and yank it, it's already it's gone. It's closing the barn door after it is already seen by tens of millions of people who are misinformed. And the result of that misinformation could be their own deaths or the deaths of people they love. So it's really something. And then I saw this little tidbit. Remember the Russians? The Russians are very busy right now because we're 3 months out from an election. And they are behind a lot of the misinformation, disinformation about the pandemic. They are behind a lot of it. And they are using this. This is a tool they didn't have 4 years ago when they were very successful in electing their candidate. But the pandemic has given them new source material. And so Moscow is continuing using all kinds of false information to influence American voters as our election draws near. And this is a direct result of Russian military intelligence, the GRU, and all of their government media sources. They have been very, very busy. The director of the Alliance for Securing Democracy is quoted as saying Russian intelligence agencies are taking a more central role in disinformation efforts that the Kremlin is pushing now. It is not the blunt force of the operations mounted by some of their organizations. It is a little more subtle, but these guys know what they're doing. And it is, in fact, a refinement. They've upped their game from what they did to us in 2016. So the use of fake social media accounts, which they used a lot 4 years ago, they're not doing as much because those got identified often and blocked. But they understand that it is a lot harder to stop the dissemination of articles, seemingly, kosher articles about this stuff that appear on websites that appear legitimate. And that's what they're up to. And this comes, our intelligence agencies are aware of it, but, who knows? Our intelligence agencies are now deemed, fake news too by this White House. But the Russians are doing essentially what they did last time in terms of what they're just trying to create dissent and confusion and to reduce confidence in our democracy, which they've done a hell of a job at, and with the unbelievably great assist from the man they helped install in the White House. Okay, let me get to some of your emails here. Barbara said, the word of the day. She said, I never knew this word. I've seen this word, but I didn't know what it meant. Whinge. Whinge, W-H-I-N-G-E. And we Americans don't use it, but our English-speaking pals, the Brits and the Aussies, do. And they use the word whinge as a synonym for whining, complaining. So to use it in a sentence, the president whinges a lot. Here's your word for the day. Paul writes, I tried acupuncture once, and when they dimmed the lights and left the room, 2 stink bugs started crawling on me. Oh, God. Remember stink bugs? Jeez. And I mean, we see them now, but not like that first year. What was that? Okay. Now, poor Jesus, Paul. And I couldn't relax. Yes, I imagine you couldn't relax with 2 stink bugs crawling on you. I was banging on the wall by the bed like a maniac for 10 minutes until someone attended to me. I never tried it again. Oh, God, that's funny. Well, I've tried it, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 different times, and for 4 different things. So I'm sure it can be helpful to some people for some things. I mean, my God, in China and in some Asian countries, they use it as they do acupuncture and then they cut you open, do surgery. Geez, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. I find it also unpleasant. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care how, twirling those little needles into you in strange places. Yeah, whatever. Oh, I had a big needle stuck in me yesterday. God, and I bruised all over the place. Okay, Chuck writes, your comments early in the show about how the pandemic has been liberating for women, as a heterosexual male, that hits home with me too. I care less about my appearance. I'm skipping showers. I'm happy to put on a baseball cap in lieu of fixing my hair. And I'm finding people don't care that I'm ignoring my appearance. The other day I was sort of shocked. I think I told you the story of being, chased by, this is a humiliating experience, but being literally chased off a block, chased down the sidewalk by a cat, my dog and I. And immediately after, a couple I know driving by in their car stopped and saw me. And, I said, there's a cat, there's a baby. And after I left them, the thought occurred to me, how the hell did they even know it was me? Because I did not have the face, Lynn Cullen's face on. I had very little face on at all. I had a mask. I had none of the makeup on my eyes. I had my, schlumpy clothes, my hair pulled back or stuck up in a pin. I don't know. I don't care. And it occurred to me later, geez, they recognized me. How? And that just showed me that maybe the masks that we put on aren't as adept as we think, that when I unmask myself and show up just, here it is, sorry, not quite as alluring as you thought, you're still you, and people recognize you. And then I thought, and they didn't hear my voice, because sometimes it's my voice that people, will literally turn, oh, Lynn Cullen. And they couldn't have heard my voice because I wasn't talking. I'd stop screaming at the cat, get away, get away. I wasn't screaming. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're feeling the same. So all of us unwashed, unmade up, sloppy looking people, when this is over, you think we'll come out of our homes and retain that look, or will we drop back into putting on our proper appearances for the world? Chuck also writes, also an observation, the wearing of a mask has made me realize, yes, how much I depend on my facial expressions to communicate. Oh, God, Chuck, yes. I sort of feel that I am, without my mouth being visible, and without my eyes being made larger by my makeup, that how can people have a clue what I'm thinking or what I really mean or how I'm reacting? And it's awful. I've had people say to me when I have been out with a mask on, after some kind of an exchange, you're smiling, right? Are you smiling? Where we can't even show an immediate response to something somebody else has said. And that is something that I do mourn the loss of, because I do think that we're not able to communicate as well. It's sort of like when we communicate in texting, people don't get sarcasm, or you lose intonation when you're doing that, which gives a person that you're talking to all kinds of clues about what your intent is. And so that's gone. I don't know. I absolutely agree with you. Without our facial expressions, and this is why we've been told that for the deaf, this mask wearing is a real bitch because they don't know what we're saying. It's locking them out. Back to Chuck. I'm sorry, Chuck, I went off. I've become more verbal, he says, because people can't see me smile or frown. Yeah, you have to identify your emotions with words. But there again, a deaf person ain't going to have any help. Conversely, I've realized how much I depend on the facial expressions of others. That is absolutely right. Oh my God, we got 3 callers. Yiko. Okay, sorry. Let's go to the phones. Hello.
Morning, Lynn.
Morning.
Before I get to face painting, I wanted to mention what was it? Corona, what is that?
Hydroxychloroquine. I don't know. Hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah.
The chlorinique. I don't know what. That.
Yeah, I don't know either. Anyway, I heard that's another one of those Russian deals. Like infiltrating.
Hey, I'm losing you. What happened to you? You're disappearing.
Am I there?
Not much.
How about now?
Better.
All right, gotta turn this on. Anyway, let's go back to Facebook.
No, you're gone again. You're gone. I can't hear you. We can't hear you. You'll have to call back or do something because we can't hear you. You're like underwater with and gagged. I'm sorry. Try back, and let me get to the next caller. Hello? Somebody else there?
Hi, Lynn. It's David.
David.
Hi. Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, that notion of communication and invalid versus valid. I'd worked in a hospital on a rehabilitation ward with people that had spinal cord injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And, I really think that they communicated better with me emotionally and stuff when they weren't in their wheelchairs, but rather they were in bed.
Yes.
So that they were masked up to where the sheets came to.
Mm-hmm.
And that was their little space, their space, and not somebody else's.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely true, that people, I think, put on those masks for comfort, to feel better about themselves. And it's simply cultural. I mean, there's no other reason for it except that it's been bred into the
we've learned
here. Yeah, it's a learned response.
Right.
You get a good response when you have the mask on.
Right.
And after hospitalization, Pittsburgh is a relatively small town.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe 2 people in the 5-year career that I had have I run into after my career working on that unit. And where do they go? They're hiding. They don't they don't have a mask big enough to put over that wheelchair.
A lot of we all have the capacity to be more aware of how we deal with somebody who is in a wheelchair because they're first of all if we're standing, they are underneath us in some ways. They're diminished in that way. And people who are in wheelchairs will tell you that it is not unusual for a person who's dealing with them to not even speak to them, but to speak to the person they're with, as if you're in a wheelchair, it means you can't speak, hear, have your own thoughts, or take care of yourself, or whatever. it really is a bitch.
Yeah, and it's just a little piece of the action. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know what the population of people in wheelchairs consists of, but in numbers it's big, but in the overall population, it's not huge. But these people are hiding out, and it's just rough. It's they don't want our compassion, they don't want our pity. They want a chance to be who they were. If they're not, I guess, prior to the incident that caused them to be in a wheelchair.
Well, if you're in a wheelchair, like if I end up in a wheelchair, I'm still me.
Yep.
It's only other people who won't see me as quite as maybe strong or authentic, and then there's that pity factor that people get into, right?
There it is. Right.
So yeah. But people in wheelchairs are better off than they used to be because of the Americans with Disabilities Act. They have there's more awareness, and because they organized, they said, hey, we're here, deal with us.
Yeah, but I think it only took them so far, and I think there's a lot of wheelchair inaccessibility as far as that goes.
Well, there is. That's true.
Work availability.
Yeah.
And just one thing, talking about backs and back problems. Because I was a nurse for a career, I had a life of back pain, and I found that doing the back stretching with it was called a cat back stretch, where you pull up your back like a cat.
Right, and then go down. Yes, believe me, I've been doing that. Those are like yoga poses.
Exactly.
Yes.
And even doing a straight leg raise with your one leg bent and lifting the other.
Exactly.
Because your back comes down to your hip and your hip knee. You loosen it up before you start trying to move around, at least.
Right.
And,
I know. Believe me, I've spent the last months doing all kinds of exercises, rehabilitative kinds of things, and sometimes that takes you just to a certain point, and then
that's right.
Yeah,
it's just a way to get started. But I also changed my mattress.
Oh.
I got the original mattress from the local place.
The original mattress factory.
Man, I'll tell you what. I don't care what people say. I mean, it's a hell of a good mattress, and my back pain that I've had in the past was at least diminished by using that.
Well, that's great. A mattress is an important thing. I mean, if people think about it, ideally you spend a third of your life on it. So, have it be good.
Yep. So anyway, that's my pitch, and hey, I wish you well. I hope it works out.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Appreciate the call.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. I think we have another caller. Hello?
Hi, Lynn Cullen Live.
Hi.
I have to say I'm very fascinated on the way this morning's conversation went to this sort of meta idea about masks and what they mean to human beings, whether they're physical masks or emotional masks. And it put me in mind of what we were talking about last week for a short time with your sister and the Japanese amusement park that with the roller coaster,
where they were not allowed to scream, but they had to. What was it? Scream in their hearts.
Well, you had to put a mask on, but the thing that what the Japanese amusement park keeps saying was like, please scream inside of your heart.
Yes.
Please scream inside your heart. And
yes,
you're
in
like,
your heart.
Oh my God, that is so Asian. Please scream inside your heart. Now, see, what you were saying today when you started your show, it kind of hurt my heart because I wanted to add a new part to that. I was like, okay, I want to write a song called Scream Inside Your Heart, but that would be too emo, right? But I wanted to follow it up with the line, but smile with your eyes.
Yes. Yes.
Scream inside your heart and smile with your eyes.
With your
and
eyes.
see, Lynn, you were saying, oh, I can't believe this person recognized you. I could recognize you anywhere if I saw your eyes because, okay, I know your dad loves your smile. You have the greatest smile in the world. But when you just see Lynn Cullen's eyes, the way they light up, you don't even need to see the rest of your face. You recognize you because people can smile with their eyes and still wear a mask, I think is the point I'm getting at.
Yeah. But you know what? You have never seen
the windows of the soul.
Yeah, but the eyes you have seen of mine, were eyes that were enhanced by my makeup mask. They had
I've seen you in person now with a bunch of me. I've seen you racing when we did that bingo thing. You raced in on a 3-hour drive they were doing bingo for the Planned Parenthood. Your eyes look fine with that.
Well, you're right. Your eyes are the windows of the soul. That is true. So. But my eyes are getting tinier, when you get older. Not for everybody. You just sort of like start shriveling up. My dad always had the greatest term for the last 10 years of his life. When you said, hey, Dad, hi, how are you? And he always had the same word, diminished.
Yeah. And I always remember you say that, too.
I loved it.
I've been saying that since I was 21. But see, men don't have that problem. See, what men have is like the William Shatner problem. Like the older you get, your eyes just kind of get bloated. They just kind of get like fatter, and you're like, oh my God, it looks like I had plastic surgery and I didn't. Wait, how did we get on this subject? I want to tell you what. Just one advice about the back pain. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, stretch. Oh, do this. Oh, do the yoga poses. Look, I tried that so many times. Look, you have the dog, right? Blue. I'm telling you, take Blue to the vet. Train Blue to say, Vicodin. I like this place here really hurts. I need some. All right, Lynn, I love you.
All right, goodbye. Bye. I was thinking you were going to say you got to train the dog to walk on my back or something. Everybody has experienced back pain. That's true, but there are different, reasons for people's back pain, and some are much more complicated than others. Is there another caller there? Did that guy call back? Probably not. Let me go on with emails. I have a lot. Little Tony says, about Trump, the fact that he pushes that hydroxy crap must be because he or his family have a financial... That's what I keep thinking. But I would think that would have been found out. Anyway, if it's not, then maybe it's an order from his boss in Russia. Yeah, right, okay. Something is weird about it. Henry writes, I'm listening to you read Chuck's email about how he's ignoring his appearance. I was like that for the first couple of months of quarantine, but then I came to the conclusion that it's important to me to keep a schedule, get up in the morning, take a shower, and look reasonably good. Ignoring my appearance was causing me to be depressed. Resurrecting my morning routine sort of brought me back to life. This is a good point, too, Henry. For a lot of people, that's true. And I know... I have definitely gotten slacker about doing those things, but I do think that, yes, I often used to think that, yes, how you dress tells your brain how you should be acting. In other words, I always thought that, if you bother to get dressed in a certain way to show respect, let's say, for a person or for let's say the church you're going to, or if you just show proper respect, that it changes things about you and how you're feeling about yourself and how you're presenting yourself to the world. I think all that's true. And if we allow ourselves total slovenliness and not caring for ourselves. I mean, it's one thing not to take, I get you. I get both. And I think I understand totally. And I'm somewhere in the middle. Debbie says, what? Louis Gohmert, perhaps I can't even say that. One of the most repulsive human beings in the Congress of the United States has tested positive. Big shock. He's, of course, been against mask wearing. Debbie's also saying Trump does have financial interest in a company that makes hydroxychloroquine. I don't know. Yeah, you got to give me cite your sources on that. Roger writes, Lynn, listening to yesterday's show brought me to tears, which is not too difficult these days. Susan was talking about having dinner with her kids and just wanting a damn hug. Yeah, well, it brought her to tears. Two things about that relate to me, says Roger. Why am I having trouble getting the rest of your thing up here? One, a good friend was talking to me more than 6 feet away about her marital problems and was sobbing. It killed me not to go over and hug her. She was in so much pain. And after recovering, we both laughed at the ridiculousness of our situation. I have to tell you, I have had that same thing where someone, yes, is confiding in you, and all you want to do is hug them, hold them, because that is what, and it is unbearable that you can't. I'm not sure why I can't. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble getting your email. This has happened to me before. To scroll up. What the hell? So I only get this far. My mom is living in a senior living center that's over a 3-hour drive away. Despite having dementia, my sisters have been able to keep her in independent living. No, I can't get any further. I'll tell you what. I'll try to get it on my other. Here it is. I've got another source here. Okay. Because of her dementia, the only technological gadgets she can operate are the telephone and the television. Her laptop hasn't been turned on in the last 2 years. I call her 2 to 3 times a week. My sisters call her sometimes 3 times a day. She's practically deaf, so we're quite hoarse at the end of these conversations. Do we hug her? She's 85. She's miserable. Why not? She might die before this damn virus is over. So what if I run down and spend time with her just like the good old days? Regarding those yahoos who refuse to wear masks, my wife just inherited a bunch of guns from her father who passed a couple of years ago now. Yeah, speaking of that, there was a letter, like your mom, there was a letter to the editor. Let me see if I can scrounge it up here. In the New York Times today, somewhat the same, I think. Here. It's called Being a Grandma During a Pandemic. And this is from Sandra Markham, Piermont, New York. I was having a heated discussion recently with my daughter about exposing myself to the outside. She and her siblings criticize me for, say, going to the supermarket, or worse, the hairdresser. She is in her 50s, and she feels that I, in my 80s, should be more restrictive, more careful. My feeling is that I live in a comparatively safe area. I'm in good health. I even teach yoga. And I take the necessary precautions so I can allow myself more leeway. The isolation since I've become a widow and with my family living very far away is hard. So now I have my grandson's wedding next month to consider. A small, downsized wedding. Of course, I don't want to get sick. I don't want to go to a hospital. I don't want to die. But I have had 4 largely solitary months to think about this. So concluding our recent talk, I told my daughter without realizing the irony, "Darling, I'm going because there's more to life than just living." Yeah, that's akin to that thought I had a few weeks ago that I'm spending so much of my energy and time trying to stay alive, but I don't feel like I'm living my life. So what's the... Debbie says about where'd she get that information that the Daily Beast and Huffington Post are reporting it. Okay, well, all right. I don't know. And little Tony says, "Lynn, I haven't trimmed my beard in weeks. If I have to go out, I have a mask on, so who sees it? I should shave it off because I am sure it's not as effective with a beard." I think that must be true, too, and I would think it'd be uncomfortable more. And Tony says, "Wearing a mask, man, it's a strange new reality." Yeah, indeed. Okay. Where did I get this? Oh, this just in. I got this from the magazine The Week. According to a new British study done by a once skeptical researcher, this researcher exposed 400 men to both gay and straight pornography. And he says the penile response data that he got was clear proof of bisexual arousal. In other words, here's a guy who thought, bisexuals don't exist. You're either into women or you're into men. And so he hooked up 400 guys and, showed them gay porn. And he says, my God. Listen, I'll tell you why, because you guys, you're just always, you're geared to go. That's it. You probably, show them 2 fruit flies mating and they'll, I'm serious. That's my sense of you guys. I'm sorry, but that's just from living around you. What else I have? I had all this stuff I was going to talk about. The fact of Bezos and Zuckerberg and what's his name, Apple guy. Didn't Cook? Didn't Trump once, when Tim Cook was at the White House, call him Tim Apple? I think he did. So, and the guy from Google, all those guys are going to be testifying before a House subcommittee today, virtually. And where did I read this? Oh, yeah. Amongst them, you total up these 4 companies that these guys run, and those companies are worth almost $5 trillion. And 2 of these guys are two of the world's richest people. One is the richest person. And they're going to be arguing, this is what's funny, that their businesses, don't stifle competition, that they're just another business and they're not really that powerful after all. So why would you be thinking about antitrust legislation? Their businesses are worth almost more than probably the entire continent of, name it. I don't know. And they're going to say, but we're not really very powerful. I won't have this, just like I didn't have the stomach to watch Barr yesterday. I don't think I have the stomach to watch that. And I just have one little other item that I wanted to share with you, because I, all my life, have hated meetings. I agreed to be on the boards of directors of some nonprofits whose missions I, wholeheartedly support. And then it turned out that if you're on a board of directors, you gotta go to meetings. I mean, my God, that's what you do. You meet. And I was never in my professional life in a situation where I had to go to meetings. I would just do my thing. So I'm not used to sitting around a table and doing meeting stuff. And man, did I find out in short order that I hate them. I cannot stand them. They drive me nuts. I don't know how people who have to do meetings, and now that you're doing them on Zoom too, it's even worse. Or maybe it's better. Maybe that is better. A little more freeing, perhaps. But I really can't stand meetings. And I was in one of these organizations. I even made it up to vice president of the board. And then, of course, it occurred to me, wait a minute. This is how out of it I am. Wait a minute. That means they're thinking I'm going to be the president next time around. I can't be the president of a board. That means I'd have to run the damn meetings. And I only got myself in that situation once, and it was a nightmare. It was not only a nightmare for me, who couldn't run the meeting, but it was also a nightmare, I'm sure, for everybody else around the table, because I can't run a meeting. I'm not comfortable being that person in authority and this and that. And then also half the stuff is like about financials and things, like I even understand it. So it was really traumatizing. And then I found myself at another organization becoming vice president. And at least then I had the smarts to say, I will become vice president if you really want me to, on one condition. And that is that I will not. I will not become the president when this term is up. I will not. And at the time, they said yes. But then when the time came for me to become, they'd forgotten about it. And it was awful that I had to, I held firm. Said, I cannot. So I've been sitting here just sort of I didn't even share with you what this is. It's a quote. That's all. Just a little quote from economist John Kenneth Galbraith, the late economist John Kenneth Galbraith. And I love him for this. He said this: meetings are indispensable when you don't want to do anything. So I think he found them pretty much a waste of time too. Meetings are indispensable when you don't want to do anything. Well, I have been waiting for the coronavirus thing from this County, but it hasn't come in yet. And anyway, why should we bother? It was horrific enough yesterday. And continue to be smart, safe, and smile with your eyes while you're screaming in your hearts. I'll see you tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.